Hi everyone, on a little bit of a road trip. I'm with my better half, but we are on the way down to go and see our eldest lad who lives in Southampton with Erin. A lot of you may very well remember Erin's lessons. I am actually going to try and do a video with Erin while I'm down here. We're heading to Southampton. We're more than halfway down. But I am going to try and do a video with Erin when we're down there. But what I'd just like to have a quick talk about while we're going down is lane discipline. We are on a motorway. I think it's the M40 that we're on. And I'd just like to do a little bit with lane discipline, just talk about lane discipline and what people are doing around us and whether it's good or bad. Now, plain and simple, straight from the off, if you're overtaking, sound to use the middle lane. If you're overtaking the middle lane, you sound to use the lane 3. No problems. And that's what the lanes are for. They're for overtaking. So I've moved to lane 2 here because we're catching the van in the left hand side. And now what you should be thinking, and this allows the traffic flow for everyone, that if you're then not catching the further vehicle, so I'm not catching that Citroen up in lane 1, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move back because it allows a greater flow to be passing and moving to my right hand side, which is the whole idea. That's the whole idea of lane discipline. People's lane discipline nowadays is pretty poor. Just for example, if we have a look at the minivan behind us, it's not catching me up. Or is it slightly? I might let them off because they are slightly catching me, and that's not an issue to be in that middle lane, but if they weren't catching, it should move back to the left. So I hold my handle, it is catching slowly. So there is a reduced traffic flow when people don't follow these basic rules. But there's also another thing that we've got to be thinking about, is we don't really want everyone to be driving in lane 1. You couldn't get better traffic flow if everyone was all in the same lane all the time. Now I've just got a little issue here because I'm catching. I'm just going to back off and let the minivan past. It's not a problem. Pop it out after. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, we don't want everyone to just be driving in lane 1 because you've only got one lane to accommodate all the traffic, and that's not going to be best. So it's a balance all the time. Let's have a little look at the situation up ahead. We've got a queue. This might curtail my little bit of work on lane discipline. If there's a queue in traffic, I might have to pause this and move it till we're after the queue, but we'll have a little look when we get there. So we're out sort of the other side of the queue. I'm going to try and get into a little bit of lane discipline, just while I'm talking about queues as well. Just like people really to think about with poor lane discipline, as some people call it, when the traffic is heavy, it doesn't actually help the traffic flow whatsoever, because all you're doing, for example, this horse box that's just moved out of my way, it just allows me to then go off and sit behind the black Mercedes a little bit further up. So does it actually aid the traffic flow a lot? Not really. And now I'm not saying to people shouldn't be moving back to the left when they're not overtaking, but people do get too het up over it, to be honest, where it doesn't actually have as much as a positive effect as people think. People, I'm sure nowadays, just expect everyone to get out of their way, but in traffic conditions like this, it doesn't actually help much. Touch further after the lorry, we've got a number of vehicles all sitting in lane 2. Now again, they should really be moving back to the left, but all it's going to do is enable me to then go a little bit further up the road and then get stuck behind someone else. So like I said, in busy conditions, all I tend to do is just move back to lane 1. As you can see by what's happening in front, it's not going to get me any further. I'll just sit here and chill until the traffic seems to clear a little. There'll be bigger breaks in the traffic, and when there's bigger breaks in the traffic, I can then make the progress up to the speed limit. But even with this, I'm still doing 59, 60 miles an hour, so it's not that much of a big deal. People are always push, push, push in this lane too. It actually gets them not very far. So about the vehicle that's just overtaken me, it's obvious he wants to make a little bit more progress, so he's staying there, and this really backs up my whole point about what I've said, that it's not going to get him. Even though I've moved out of the way for him, it's not going to get him very far. And he is quite impatient, this guy as well. We had a little situation a little bit before with, funnily enough, the black Mercedes that's in front of this car, where it was a merge situation and the black Mercedes was set up to merge in turn, but this orange Seat wanted to block the Mercedes. So actually all I did, I just sat still and let the Mercedes pass me. But this is 15 minutes later, and look where we're at, look where we are on the road. We're all together still. And this is what I'm getting at regarding lane discipline in busier traffic, that although people should, it actually doesn't really help the whole flow whatsoever. Here's the incident that happened approximately 15 minutes ago, and you can see the orange Seat that's to my right hand side sees that the road is merging and merges early, but then gets triggered by the Mercedes in a little while. Now let's just talk through my mindset. I'm staying in my lane, but I'm looking at the flow of the traffic down the right hand side, and I'd always be thinking I'm going to let one person in. So I'm thinking, now the white Focus has stayed there, that's the car that I'm going to let in front, and the orange car behind should do the same with the Mercedes. But as you can see, he's triggered and doesn't want the Mercedes to merge in as they should do. Don't forget the clip that we've just seen just previously, where we're 15 minutes ahead of time and these two cars are again following each other. So it just really shows you how pathetic the orange Seat driver is. So I hold back and let the Mercedes go in front of me. I'm just helping this fella out because the fella behind was being an absolute flirt as normal. Let him in. So now the traffic has opened up a little bit and we're back up to 70 miles an hour. Lane discipline then becomes a bigger factor in enabling better flow down the road. When you're not overtaking and you're not catching the vehicles in front too quickly, come back in. So for example, I came back in there because I realised the Volkswagen Golf was catching and there was a big enough space for me to come back in. I'm just going to back off the gas a little bit. Motorbike is travelling quite quick and he's going to be quicker than me, so is it really going to hold me up? No. If you just back off for someone and just let someone pass, not really, no, because you're always going to be stuck up at the next queue and you're going to catch all these people up, so it doesn't really make that much difference. But you're not judge and juror over what speed other people travel at. So here, past the lorry, no one's really catching behind. I could really stay in lane 2, but there's no reason, so I'm going to come back to lane 1. And that's what we should be thinking. It is specific to the situation around. Sometimes I've had comments on some of my videos where people have said, oh, you should have moved back in, but when there's no one behind, it doesn't help anyone. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but don't do things just out of routine. Don't move back as soon as you've overtaken someone just because you always do, because some scenarios it might actually cause you a bigger problem. If you haven't got time to move back in and then allow someone to comfortably pass before you've then got to get back out again, it might be an idea for you to stay in lane 2. The other issue, which I've constantly alluded to as well, is the problem with people not letting you back out. If you do move in, someone comes past you, you've then got to get back out again. That's when people are going to close the space down. So this is a problem with lane discipline, and people closing space does go hand in hand. If people were just a little bit nicer and thought of others on the road rather than just themselves, it would be an easier job for everyone. I just wish people could keep this in mind. So I'm obviously going to overtake as we're catching the sort of like camper up ahead. Just seen a little road to the left hand side of me as well. I'm just going to make certain it doesn't come back on in a moment. But because I'm catching these on the left hand side, no problem with me staying here, although it looks as though we've got a little bit of a heavier stretch again. So back to what I was saying before, in a heavier stretch, am I going to be able to make my progress? Not really. So what I'll probably look to do is look at the whole flow of everyone, and probably what I usually do, as I'm going to, is just move back into the left and chill. Let me know how you deal with lane discipline. Is it something that you tend to get wound up with and people don't move out of your way? I must admit, I've just had this discussion with my better half as we've been driving, and I used to get wound up by it, but to be honest, when you think about the things that I've just been talking about, like, it doesn't really get you that far. Even the Blue Golf, which did it correctly before it overtook, after I'd moved back in, look where it is now. And that's a constant on our networks and on the busyness of our roads nowadays. So try not to get too wound up with lane discipline, but let me know how it affects you in the comments. Short and sweet, but I hope it helps. Take care everyone, I'll see you soon.